In this video, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk through a short PD session that I did with the maths department at my school last academic year, when as a whole school, we started thinking about equality and diversity in our curriculum delivery. So the aim of this session was to explore ways we can improve the equality and diversity in our teaching and learning, and certainly not create some token lessons, but rather think about how we could embed better curriculum choices or choices in our teaching strategies to promote better equality and diversity in the long term. So we want to represent individuals and groups regardless of characteristics such as age, gender, ethnicity, disabilities, etc., whether that be in our subject content or within our class groups. So I broke down my thoughts into these three categories. Firstly, what's happening outside our curriculum in current events outside of school. Then what we could change within our curriculum. And thirdly, what we can do in our day-to-day teaching practice. So outside of school, there are many sources of information on why it's absolutely right and best for young people to have awareness of cultural diversity for so many reasons. We also need to remember that as professionals, we need to stay non-biased and try and avoid any unconscious bias that we may have about pupil achievement simply due to their profile. There have been several research studies into the need for a revolution and the stereotyping of different groups of people and their mathematical ability. I'm sure if you think about things that have been in the news over the last year, you know just how important, more than ever, how important it is for young people to have an awareness of this and fight those stereotypes and make sure that everybody is being treated equally. So before I show that list again, actually, I'm about to show you a list of famous mathematicians, and I wonder, if I asked you to name a famous mathematician, who would you think of immediately? Do you know any famous mathematicians? So when I started listing them down, these are the people that I first thought of, and they're really well known in our society, in the UK and UK schools. Most of these we would certainly reference in our curriculum when teaching particular topics like Pythagoras' theorem or Fibonacci sequences, for example. But once I'd written the list and thought about where they appeared in our curriculum, I noticed that these are pretty much all European white males. And I was disappointed in myself that I had to think again to discover famous mathematicians of a different race or gender, or those that had disabilities. So on the screen now, you can see lots of other famous mathematicians. Now, there's still a couple of obvious people on this screen, like Marie Curie, Stephen Hawking, who I should have thought of originally. But why are people like Ada Lovelace and David Blackwell not celebrated to the same extent in society? So on the screen now is a very small version of my school's course content, really, for maths from year 7 to 11 in every half term. And so we discussed as a team where we could ensure that we included references to all of these people and their mathematical history during our normal teaching. And we came up with some examples there. And then lastly, we moved on to a discussion about how actual teaching and learning habits in our classrooms can promote equality in our professional practice. So you may want to pause the video now and list some of the things that you could do in your lessons rather than in your curriculum to promote equality to your students. So here are my ideas. such as reconsidering who you target your questioning at, which students are your usual volunteers, for example, even for things like handing the books out or being monitors for something. Do those people share any characteristics that you should be mindful of? Is your seating plan promoting equality, or is there segregation? For example, girls always sitting together. Is there a valuable reason for doing this or not? Should we actually be more mindful about it? So I hope this has provided some food for thought about your own teaching practice, and please add any further suggestions below.